That was your second time taking the exam, right?
Yeah,
So you passed your RN NCLEX on your second attempt, and how many questions did you get?
I got 85.
Bro, I'm super proud of you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate everything, man.
Bro,
What's up, man?
congratulations, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Congra- Second time taking the exam. Like, bro, I'm super proud of you. So tell me how you were feeling. Like I kind of want to go through like these series of questions just for myself and to make sure, kind of hit everything on the head. But so you passed your RN NCLEX on your second attempt, and how many questions did you get?
I got 85.
So you got 85. So I mean, that's a drastic change from the first time when you got 85, right? And you didn't pass, right?
No, first time I got 150.
Yeah, that's right. So you did. You got 150 to now to this point to where you get 85. That just tells me, and you actually told the test like, yo, my dude knows what he's talking about. 95% of this he understands. So walk me through that process. Like how you were feeling like the day before, the day of, because
Day
when we were
before,
talking.
day before, man. I went up there with my brother. We were just chilling, hanging out. But I was just laying in bed, and then I took, how I took all those CAT exams, right? Those adaptive tests on Archer.
Mhm.
Well, I started like thinking too much. I was like, man, I failed one of them at 85, but then I passed one at 92, I think, and another one at 150. But before that, I passed the other one at 85. But I kept focusing on the 85. Like I failed at 85, and I was like, nah, I just need to go to bed. So I went to bed. I woke up. I was like, all right, it's cool. Because I took the test like at around 1. I wasn't trying to wake up any earlier. So I was like, I'm going to sleep in, wake up, feeling good, whatever. So we ended up pulling up to the place. And the first time when I pulled up to the testing center, man, I was like, I had the jitters, anxious. I was like, man, I've never felt like this before a test. I was like nervous, tired. I was like, all right, whatever. Took the test the first time, whatever. Hit 85, said, take a break. I started tripping. And then I heard people passing like at 125, so I hit 125. I started freaking out again, and then I was like on 140. I was like, man, I'm done. Like I felt this, whatever. Well, sure enough, I did feel it. And then the second time, I sat there. I was like just chilling, man. I was like, I wasn't even stressing. I wasn't like freaking out or anything. And I started taking the test or whatever. And then I was on, what was it? I was on question like 84, and it said you can take a break now. I was like, geez, here we go again, man. And then I was like, nah, I'll just keep going, whatever, see if I could take 90 or something. So I ended up having 2 more questions, and then it cut off on me. I was like, oh, and then that's when like the jitters kicked in and everything. I started getting nervous, and that's how I usually take my tests. Like I get nervous or whatever. And then my brother picked me up, and we just chilled the whole day. And then, because I took my test in Corpus, and we went to Mustang Island just to go chill and relax. And he did that the Pearson view trick.
The trick I told you not to do it.
Oh yeah, he did it.
Mm-hmm.
He did it without me knowing. I was like, he's like, I think you passed. It's like, nah, I really didn't think too much of it or whatever. And then the next day, I'm laying in bed, about to go to bed. It's like 12 in the morning or whatever, like 11 at night. My brother's at work, and he calls me. He's like, yo, go check what I sent you on Messenger. I'm like, this fool, what does he want? So I go check, and it says it's my license. I was like, dang, bro, like, let's go.
Yeah. Well, that's what's up, man. Like, I'm glad, because when you had sent me your quizzes, and not your quizzes, I'm sorry, your computer adaptive tests, like the scores, I was looking and I was just like, wait a minute. So you took this one, but then you took these like you had 2 of them in a row based off of like how you had them dated. There were 2 in a row, and they were both passing. And so out of out of those 3, having 2 out of the 3, and it being like, 2 days before your exam, I chalked it up to nervousness, because that's what happens. Like when I took my exam, I want to say like 3 days before I took my exam, I took a readiness exam or a CAT or something like that, and I got a 49, and it said I didn't pass. And I'm just like, nah, because I know leading up to that, I was like sitting like in the high 60s, low 70s, like for weeks. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm chalking it up to nervousness. I know what I know, because that was just my own anxiety that was going to punk me out of that. So, and then when I took my exam, of course, I passed it. And then you feel that vote of confidence in yourself going to take it the next time, especially like, I feel a lot more prepared. And just like you said, you started to feel nervous after your exam. Did you feel nervous while you were taking your exam?
No, the only time I started getting nervous was like when I hit that break. Like when it's like you could take a break if you want. I was like, geez, man.
Yeah.
But then right after that, I had gotten a bow tie. I was like, geez, man, I really need to get this one right. So I stood there on that bow tie, like doing all mathematical stuff, whatever, trying to figure it out, trying to be all like a doctor and whatnot. And then after that, I got like a farm question and they cut out on me. I was like, geez, man.
But especially like I said, with it being like towards the end, you got to think it's just like you must have been flying through that test, because if it's telling you like, an hour and you're at like in your 80s, that's telling me, because it usually does it like within like an hour, like within 60 minutes of you taking the exam, it'll ask you like, hey, it doesn't matter what question you're on, but it'll ask you like, hey, do you want to take a break? So if it's telling you that you want to take a break and you were in the 80s, you were flying, that's telling me that, okay, dudes picked up some stuff over the last 30 days of us talking, of the test taking strategies, the content, good mixture of both, whatever, as you were going in there. As I always said, practice like you play. So I want to ask you a couple of questions. And this is, like I said, this is for me, for the coaching program, because of course, in the end, just like how you found me or how anybody else found me with his word of mouth or social media, it can help me and also help others. So when it comes to the coaching sessions, how do you feel like about the length of the coaching sessions? Like 1 hour a week for 30 days, so on and so forth. Like, what do you think about the coaching sessions?
It's pretty good. I'd say you either have the meetings like early in the week or later in the week. That way, like whoever you're coaching, it feels more like like a job, I guess. Or like, because if you start meeting up like in the middle of the week, it's like, oh, they got stuff to do, blah, blah, blah. They might not meet the quotas in terms of like finishing how many quizzes, this and that. And then like if you start off like at the beginning of the week on a positive note, then that sets up the rest of the week. Or even towards the end of the week, if you feel like they're not doing enough, you can always like motivate them at the end of the week for the following week.
Okay. So so you would suggest, like just either a Monday or a Friday, as in like going into the weekend or coming off of the weekend, kind of capturing them either or.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Now, when it comes to like its entirety, the coaching program in its entirety, such as, where we do our weekly sessions, our, the study schedule, the tracker, you getting my phone number, how would you say your experience was with that?
It was good. When it came to like the tracker, whatever, it was more of like I had to get the quizzes done, or else like you'd ask me like what's going on, like like you'd call it out, In terms of everything else was pretty good. I mean, I'll text you when I like have questions, or like I'll text you about the cats or whatever, and then you like looked into it or whatnot. But I mean, nothing was bad or anything like that. It was pretty I thought it was good the way you did everything. About it.
Okay. How did you feel about us breaking down NCLEX style questions? Because a lot of people like that aspect. And when I say that is when we break down questions, is it a lot easier to digest when you are reviewing your quizzes, when you're doing them on your own? So how do you feel about when we broke down NCLEX style questions?
It was good. With some questions, you'd always start off with like, what made you pick this? Like, what was your thought process? And then you always you saw, okay, that's where their mindset was in, or that's what they were thinking, or they're thinking way too much, like for no reason. And that's when you started you start teaching, all right, for this and that, this is why this is wrong, this is why this is wrong, but then this is why this is right. You know what I mean? Yeah, pretty much like that. Other than that, you broke them down very well. When it comes to like the NGN ones, the teaching strategies and all that, those helped out a lot. I saw a big improvement with those.
Okay. the schedule? And by the schedule, I mean like, hey, I want you to do, 3 quizzes a week, and I want them to be at least 85 questions, or our goal is to get to doing at least 85 questions because that's how the exam's going to be. How'd you feel about like the motivation, but more along the lines of the accountability, as in like, hey, I need for you to have these things done so that way we can have, something actionable we can go in throughout the week and when we meet for that 1 week.
I'd say instead of doing like setting in stone like 3 quizzes, let's say do like a quiz a day, but like a minimum like of 3 or 4. Does that make sense?
You're talking about do a quiz every day.
So like instill in their mind like, yo, I expect you to do like 6 quizzes, 7 quizzes, but if you can't, 3's all right. Set that bar. But if you can't reach that goal, then that's, as long as you have 3 done or 4 done, that's fine. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're saying kind of like not overload them, but just like, hey, I want you to do a quiz. I want 5 quizzes done this week. And if you can't get 5 done, the minimum that you need to do is at least 2 to 3 or something along the lines of that. So funny story is that I would do that. I did that when I very first started coaching. And no matter what I said, people got overwhelmed. They were just
really?
Yeah, I would say like, hey, I want you to do a quiz every day. So Monday through Friday, have Saturday and Sunday off or whatever, even if they had a full-time job or whatever. So that's where the tricky part comes.
The tricky part?
So I say to them, all right. So I kind of had to switch it up. I went from doing it every day. And then when I said, hey, if you can't do it every day, it's okay. By the time we got to the end of the week or the next week, they're burnt out because they didn't listen to what I said. They were just told me to do it every other day or every day. So then I was just like, you know what? Let's make it a little bit easier. Let's make it a little bit easier and a lot easily digestible, right? So like for you would have been like, cool, I could do one every day. And that's based off of your current situation versus how when I'm taking care of somebody else, they're just like, I work, Monday through Friday. I have 2 kids. I can't X, Y, and Z. And I was just like, okay, well, let's see how we can adjust it. That's why I always said the schedule is always adjustable. This is just, the foundation. You can change it however you need to do it. So I try to make it not so overwhelming. However, for somebody like you who had a situation to where, they didn't have a nursing job or they weren't working in the hospital yet and they had a lot more extra time, I can see that as in like, hey, give them something every day. That way they don't have to,
Or you could do the 3, get 3 done a week. But if you can, like say on the weekend, get a cat in, just see where they're at, and that way you can see where, what's going on, how much information have they retained from the past 3 quizzes, or how much information have they been going over within the time they have, or whatever.
Okay.
I feel like I didn't know where I was at with the quizzes because it's random. It's not adaptive. But when I started hitting the cats, those those 3 or 4 cats that I did, I started to realize, I have a lot of trouble in here. Like I started having a lot of trouble with farm, certain very specific disease processes. So I kind of started touching up on farm, learning all the mnemonics and whatnot, and that helped me out a lot. That helped out a lot.
Right. So remember throughout the week, how I was just like, hey, I need your quizzes, because if I don't have them, I can't guide you on what specifically I need for you to look at. So throughout the week, when you give me those, or whomever, when you give me 3 to 4 quizzes to include readiness exam or a CAT exam, that's exactly what I would do. I was like, okay, well, let's look at it. Oh, okay. So it's pharmacology, or specifically in pharmacology, it's respiratory, or it's, neuro, or something along the lines of that. So you started to pick up on that towards the end, which is something that I noticed. And as I was saying that, you were just like, oh, I know I need, like you said, you need a farm. Farm is like, a monster for everyone for the most part. So, but yeah, most definitely, like for sure, like that's actually one of the biggest things that I like to do to make sure, like, hey, how can we guide you, and how can we make this better, and how can you understand where your issues are? And the best way for us to do that is for you to provide me what you've done within the previous week. That way, when we go into the next week, we can make those adjustments. But okay, I got you. When it comes to like a specific approach, Like, I know, like I said, your situation was a little bit different, so we kind of tried to, approach it in a different way based off of time and the time that you had available. So did you feel like we were able to adapt to your individual strengths and weaknesses when it came to, like, it kind of caveats off what we just talked about?
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay. What about flexibility? Because I know there's been times where we've just been like, hey, I'm running a little bit late, or hey, I can't meet this day, or hey, my schedule's kind of off because of whatever situation may be happening. So did you feel like you were
flexibility? I said do like a 20-minute, 30-minute, like not exactly. Like say like we're meeting at 10, not exactly at 10. Like you tell them, hey, let me know when you're on, whatever, blah blah blah. That way you're not just sitting there waiting for them or whoever you're teaching, and like vice versa. Like hey, like just ahead of time, like hey, I'm not gonna be on like 10 minutes or whatever after 10 or whatever. I'm not gonna be on until like 10:30 or whatever. Even though you have the set appointment, that way it's not like time consuming, or I can get stuff done. You can get stuff done or whatever.
Right. So you're talking about like a grace period. So
yeah.
if we're scheduled for 10 and it's 10:15 and I've heard nothing from them, to just be like, hey, you missed your appointment today.
Yeah, just give them like a grace period. Yeah, and then I guess you could reschedule throughout the week if you do have time for that.
Okay. Well, you kind of already told me about the test taking strategies. So, let's talk about those. So you were saying that, when we were going through the case studies, or when we're going through questions in general, I always would say to you, okay, now what was your thought process on picking this answer? Now, when it comes to all of the questions, to include the case studies, you felt like that was a good way for us to just to gauge where you were. That way we can get you to understand what the question was truly asking you.
So like when it came to like the select all, the apply, I was like, all right, pick the ones that you know, read the other ones, think about them. If you're thinking about it too much, just move on to the next one. There's no reason for you to be thinking about it, because if anything, you get one of those wrong, you're gonna lose a point, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of mindset I went with the NCLEX.
Okay.
I was like, all right, I know this is a symptom of that, but this sounds like it might be right. So I kind of like sat there, thought about it, and if I didn't feel strong enough to where I would pick it, I'd just go to the next one. Like I wouldn't even bother. Like I wouldn't spend that much time on the select all replies, just because I knew if I did, it would overwhelm me and it would be a waste of just energy, just trying to, is it right? Is it not right? Is this a symptom? Is that a symptom? Well, they have this, but this and that. You know what I mean?
Right. It's true. Like you'll spend so much time trying to guess, or spending so much energy trying to guess, versus when you're just like, oh, I know it's that. I know it's that. I know it's that. And when you read the other ones, you're going to be like, I don't know. All right, whatever. On to the next one. So instead of you spending 3 or 4 minutes on a select all that apply for the chances of getting a 50% chance of getting it right to get points, you now spend 1.5 minutes for some ones that you're just like, all right, cool, I know these, with getting partial credit rather than with the chance of losing points. So that's the whole point. Like, that's what I try to tell people. They're just like, well, I didn't want to get it. I was just like, it doesn't matter if you get it wrong. It's about you understanding how the strategies actually help you retain points. Like that's that's a great thing about the next gen, when they updated that for having select all that apply and certain NGN's questions that are partial credit. I wish I would have had that when I was taking my exam, because hindsight's 2020 now, right? So, yeah. But okay, so that's a good test taking strategy to really help hone it in. So those are pretty much all the questions. So the last thing I really have is what's your overall satisfaction of the program? Would you recommend coaching and mentoring to others?
Yeah, I would, if I knew, like, if they were like in the position I was in, where, like, you feel you're completely unmotivated, like you've been going through school for so long, you're just burnt out, or even if you didn't even feel, if you're like taking your test for the first time, like you just need that extra push, that extra oomph, just to, like know someone that you don't even know or never met, like actually like is trying to help you out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like that makes a big difference. Like it's different when like your friends like, yeah, you got this, whatever, you need help, blah blah blah. but like someone you've never even met, someone you like don't even know, they actually like put like the effort into like seeing you like improve your career and whatnot. That makes a big difference. But yeah, I mean, I really would. And I know a lot of these kids in the program, so I might talk to them, see if they would be interested in going with me.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Look, man, you already know me, man. Like I'll coach whoever as long as they're coachable and they can trust the process. That's exactly what I said to you. I was like, "Are you coachable?" You said yes. I was like, "Can you trust the process? And can you trust me to get you there?" Those are the 3 questions that I would ask. And you said yes, and here we are. Now you're a full-fledged RN on your second attempt. 3 questions that nobody will ever ask you. How many times you take the exam? Or I'm sorry, 3 individuals that would never ask you. It would be your job, the people that you work with, and your patients on how many times you took that exam. So now it's like, now skies are the limit. You got past this exam. Now you can get out here. You can start making a difference in people's lives. Stack the, get the bag, because your brother's a nurse too, right?
Yeah.
So, the brothers stacking and getting the bag, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man. Okay, cool. I mean, that's all I really got. That's all I really got, man, with regards to just kind of just getting some, the results and the feedback from you taking the exam. Because believe it or not, like when I tell you I'm invested. Like I even tell my wife, I'm just like, Jonathan took his test today, and she's just like, oh yeah. She's like, I know you were saying about blah, 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 blah. How do you think he's going to do? I was like, I think he's going to be fine. I was like, I think that last one is just chalked up to nervousness. And she's just like, you said he got 2 in a row, right? She might as well just be an honorary nurse at this point, because she hears, or an instructor, because she hears and listens to everything that I say. And so she's just like, oh, they don't want it. They don't want it. Well, if they want it, they need to change their attitude. And I'm just like, who are you? Like, who are you? Who are you? Right. So
who's the coach, me or you? That's
what I'm saying. So, I mean, I've had it one time where she got on, she talked to somebody, and it was a female. And I think it actually made her feel a lot better. She's like, listen, girl, I had this happen, blah, 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 blah. And my wife's not a nurse. So she's just like, it's all about life and life experiences and those things that can actually make things better, as well as, somebody who's walked that line before.
Yeah.
I've gotten so many people that said like, yo, I had this tutor, and all they did was just give me a book, and then we talk about it the next week. And I'm just like, well, that seems kind of boring. I was just like, I love going through questions. That's like that's like where I had an issue. So if I have the issue there, when people start to have that issue, I know that has to be one of them. Yeah. I know it. So, but anyways, man, before we sit on here too long, like I said, bro, I'm super proud of you. Thank you for trusting me to get you through this process and mentor somebody else, bro. You're going to end up being a preceptor at some point. You're a smart guy. And there's going to be those students that are going to come to you. Remember where you were at that position. Don't be like everybody else when they're just like, I don't want a student or anything like that. Take them under your wing, mentorship them, and guide them, as others have guided you, and as I have guided you through this process, because, we are all that we have with regards to this nursing profession, and only we can make it better, not just here, but then as men, where we make things better for our families and things like that. So anyways, super proud of you, bro. Congratulations again to you. Once again, welcome to nursing. If you need anything, you know where to find me. And until then, bro, keep pushing, and I'll see you out there.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it. Hey, does that same number you give me still work, like with everything, or what? Mm-hmm. Like I can hit you up whenever? Mm-hmm. All right, that.
So I actually have a couple of things. So now that you are licensed, this is something else that I offer to my training students. And this is where the mentorship kind of just goes a little bit further. Where we talk about like, okay, cool, now you got a license, and now you're about to start making money, but what are you going to do with this money?
Yeah.
So I also do financial strategies. I also do talk about life and health insurance. We talk about annuities. We talk about 401ks, Roth IRAs, all those good things. So those are things that are actually offered to you as well, as in like, hey, let's talk about what you're going to do with this money that you're going to make, because you're a young guy, so by the time, you hit, your 40s, well, not 40s, but you're like, when it's retirement age, it's just like nobody wants to be working at retirement age. So your money, you need to start having your money work for you now. Your dad's a construction business, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's already told you that, and I'm pretty sure you've already seen it. So that's the next big step, like for you. And whenever you're ready for that, we can make those things happen too.
Alrighty, brother.
Oh, but that is one thing though. Like that number is for you. Don't give that number to nobody else. Right. So like if you do recommend anybody to come to me, just send them to my website. That way they can fill out the questionnaire. That way I can know about them, because I've had people give other people my number and I'm just like, I don't know who this is. I don't know nothing about you. I need to have at least something about you.
Yeah.
Before we get on a call. Like that way I could just be like, okay, well, let me see what their problem is, so on and so forth. So, but yeah, man, it's all good. That number still works. If you got any questions about anything, just reach out.
Appreciate it, brother. You have a good one, man.
All right, man. Have a good rest of your week. I never asked you what type of job. Where are you gonna go work at? You're gonna work at the hospital there? You're gonna stay in San Antonio?
There's a hospital here that I'm working in the ER.
Okay, ER. That's right. Was CRNA your end goal?
I'm thinking about cross training and working with my brother because he works at the same hospital.
Okay. Where does he work at? In the ER too?
No, he works in the ICU.
ICU. You might like it, man. You might like it. You can go flight. You can do that too.
Yeah. I'll do a flight for a hot minute.
Okay. Well, all right, man. Hey, that'd be cool. Both brothers on the same floor.
Yeah.
Both brothers on the same floor. But all right, man. Have a good rest of your week. If you got any questions, just shoot me a text and we'll keep it moving.
Yes, sir. Appreciate everything, man.
All right, bro. Take care.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.